Good morning, children.
Sir. Hello.
Okay, children, let us begin the class.
ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ದು
So I'm here with your second lesson, the elixir of life. So I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I'm able to hear you. There was some error. So let us begin now. So children, I kindly request you to mute because there is some disturbance. Bhuwana, please mute yourself. Sumukh,
Hello, sir.
are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Sumukh. Have you ever heard the word elixir? Elixir.
No, sir.
Okay, not an issue. Okay, that's not an issue. So let us continue. So actually, the meaning of the word elixir is a liquid substance with a magical power to prolong life indefinitely. If we want to extend our life, if we want to extend the duration of our life, we need a liquid substance. So that will have a magical power. So with that magical power, our life extends. So that is what the meaning of the word elixir. So before beginning the lesson, let us come to know about the writer of the lesson, that is Sir C.V. Raman. Almost all of you are aware of Sir C.V. Raman. Sir Chandrasekhar Venkataraman. This is the full name of Sir C.V. Raman. He was an Indian physicist, and you might have heard Raman effect. That is the famous discovery of Sir C.V. Raman. Raman effect is the famous discovery of Sir C.V. Raman. And he was awarded by Nobel Prize in the year 1930. Okay, let us start the lesson now. I hope you have kept your textbooks before you. If you don't have the textbook there, just have your textbook before you and just observe the lines which I read out now. Man has through the ages sought in vain for an imaginary elixir of life, the divine Amrita, to confer immortality. But the true elixir of life lies near to our hands, for it is the commonest of all liquids, plain water. So, children, in the first paragraph, just observe it. Man has through the ages means man throughout the history he has sought in vain means here unsuccessfully he has tried. For what? To get an imaginary elixir of life. That is the divine Amrita. You have heard about divine Amrita. So if we drink that divine Amrita, we will live forever. There is no death for us. That is just an imagination. But so for what it is? Just to get immortality so that we will not die. The ability to live forever or an eternal life. So that is what the meaning of immortality. So we live forever if we drink this divine Amrita. So that's why man has tried too much to get it. He has searched a lot, but has he got it? No, he hasn't. So he has become unsuccessful in search of this divine Amrita. Now, on the next side, but the true elixir of life lies near to our hands. Alright? That divine Amrita is just with us only. Which one it is? For it is the commonest of all liquids, plain water. The plain water is just the divine Amrita for us. We have not got divine Amrita exactly, but this is what the water, the plain water, what we have got, that is the divine Amrita for us. So, what are the uses of water? Siri, why do we need water?
For digestion.
Okay, and then, okay, thank you. Tejasvi, why do we need water?
To be alive.
Yes, exactly. Just for our daily purposes, to be alive, and for all the works, we need water. Our day begins with water and the day ends with water, right? So, water is very essential. You may not get that divine Amrita, that is the imaginary elixir. That is just an imagination. But what is the reality? The reality is water that you will get everywhere. So, the commonest of all liquids, that is the plain water. So, that we need. Children, very important things are here. Two important things are, what is an imaginary elixir here? Imaginary elixir is divine Amrita, the divine Amrita. Sri Harsha, what is the imaginary elixir of life? Sri Harsha?
Yes, sir.
What is the imaginary elixir?
The divine Amrita.
Okay. Shanvi, what is the imaginary elixir of life?
Divine Amrita.
Okay, very fine. But which elixir of life is very near to you? The real elixir of life is Pavan. What,
Sir,
according to the writer, is the real elixir of life?
water.
Exactly. Very good. So, water is the real elixir of life, and the imaginary one is divine Amrita. So, let us continue to the second paragraph. I remember one day standing on the line which separates the Libyan desert from the valley of the Nile in Egypt. On one side was visible a sea of billowing sand without a speck of green or a single living thing anywhere visible on it, while on the other side lay one of the greenest, most fertile, and densely populated areas to be found anywhere on the earth, teeming with life and vegetation. What made this wonderful difference? Why? It is the water of the river Nile flowing down to the Mediterranean from its sources a couple of thousands of miles away. Now, observe the lines. I remember, who remembers? Sir C.V. Raman, while writing, he remembers one day standing on the line which separates the Libyan desert. Children, the Libyan desert is named as the Great Sand Sea. Actually, it is not a sea, it is completely filled with sand. So, it is named as Great Sand Sea or Western Desert in Egypt. It's in Egypt and it is named as Great Sand Sea or Western Desert in Egypt. So when he was standing, when Sir C.V. Raman was standing on the line which separated Libyan desert from the valley of the Nile in Egypt, what did he find? On one side was visible a sea of billowing sand. What is meant by billowing? Spreading over a large area of sand. It was totally filled with sand, without a speck of green or a single living thing anywhere. A speck means a tiny spot. Even a tiny spot was not filled with green or any single living thing anywhere visible on it. And contrary to that, on the other side, what was there? Anywhere visible on it, while on the other side lay one of the greenest. See, one side it was totally barren, there was nothing, it was filled with sand, and on the other side it was completely greenest. It was the greenest, most fertile. How was it? It was very fertile and densely populated areas to be found anywhere on earth. You cannot see this kind of place anywhere. The writer explains over here like this: teeming with life and vegetation. Teem or teeming means be full of. It was totally filled with life, it was totally filled with vegetation. So the two important things are, one side Libyan desert, and on the other side the valley of the Nile in Egypt. So as he was standing on the line which separated these two places, he found one side the desert and the other side it was the greenest, it was the most fertile one, and it was densely populated with people. The areas to be found anywhere on the earth, you cannot find it anywhere on the earth. Okay, what made this wonderful difference? So, what was the difference? What we can find over there? Why? What is the reason? Now, the writer explains here the reason, that is, it is the water of the river Nile. How did it become fertile? It was because of river Nile flowing down to the Mediterranean from its sources a couple of thousands of miles away. From thousands of miles away, what the river Nile was flowing. It was the reason, and the water of that river Nile, that was the reason. Even today, that is the reason. So that is why this land has become more fertile, and the other side, as there is no water, it was just completely, there was no speck of green or any living thing. There was no vegetation. So that is what the difference we can find over there. If you have any confusions here in these two paragraphs, you can ask me. So this is in the form of essay. The elixir of life is in the form of essay. So that's why if you have any confusions over there, you can ask me. Fine. Let's continue. Third paragraph. Geologists tell us that the entire soil of the Nile Valley is the creation of the river itself. It was brought down as the finest silt in its floodwaters. from the highlands of Abyssinia and from remote Central Africa, and laid down through the aids in the trough through which the Nile flows into the sea. Egypt, in fact, was made by its river. Its ancient civilization was created and is sustained by the life giving waters which come down year after year with unfailing regularity. Just write down there who is called as geologist, a person who specializes, just write down, a person who specializes in geologic research and study. The person who specializes in geologic research and study, he will be called as geologist. So what do the geologists say? What do they say? Geologists tell us that the entire soil of the Nile Valley is the creation of the river itself. The river Nile has created the entire soil. It has formed it. It was brought down as the finest silt. Silt. Silt means sand or soil that is carried along by flowing water. This river, the river Nile, while flowing, it has carried the finest silt, very high quality. How the quality of this silt will be? It will be with a good quality. It will be with a high quality. This silt, it was brought down as the finest silt, and its flood waters at the time of flood, it will be flown from where? From the highlands. From the highlands of which place? Abyssinia. So now it is called as Ethiopia, Abyssinia. This is the former name. And from remote Central Africa. Afterwards, it will be laid down through the aids in trough through which the Nile flows into the sea. So while flowing at the time of flood or at the time of flowing, the river, it brings the finest silt, and in the history, so since many years, it has covered all the place, and it has spread that finest silt over the place. So that's why it has become so fertile. Egypt, in fact, was made by its river. How was it made? It was made by its river itself. Its ancient civilization was created and is sustained. Yes, even today it was created and it was sustained. Even today it is kept alive. By what? By life giving waters which come down year after year with unfailing regularity. With unfailing regularity, it is continued. It has continued to come down. So that is why even today it is the most fertile place. Let's move on to the fourth paragraph. I give this example and could give many others to emphasize that this common substance, which we take for granted in our everyday life, is the most potent and the most wonderful thing on the face of our earth. It has played a role of vast significance in shaping the course of the earth's history, and continues to play the leading role in the drama of life on the surface of our planet. Yeah, look at the paragraph number 4. I give this example. Who is giving the example here? So C.V. Raman is giving the examples. I give this example. Yes, he gives the example and he could give many others. For what? To emphasize that this common substance, Anjali, may I know which is the common substance which is mentioned by Sir C.V. Raman here? Which is the common substance?
Water.
Yes, exactly, Anjali. So that's what he is explaining about. Water is the common substance which we take for granted. Yes, we have taken it for granted in our home. So when a tap is on, when water is flowing, we don't worry. Oh, let it be. We can get water anywhere. That's what we say, right? So we have taken it for granted. Yeah, it's available everywhere. So nothing to bother about that. Nothing to worry about that. No need to bother. Yeah, we have taken it for granted. That's why the writer is mentioning it's a common substance which we have taken for granted in our everyday life. Yes, but what is the most important thing? Is the most potent and the most wonderful thing. What is meant by potent? Potent means powerful. Yes, water is really powerful. So when you are completely thirsty, when you don't have any Pepsi, Cola, nothing else there at home, what will you search for? You will search for water. That is the most powerful one and the most wonderful thing. Yes, water is the most wonderful thing on earth, on the face of our earth. Yes, that is the most wonderful one and that is the most powerful one. Yes, that is why in every bit, Sir C.V. Raman just reminds us that water is the real elixir of life that gives us life forever. It has played a role of vast significance in shaping the course of the Earth's history. Our Earth's history is totally created or totally formed by what? By water. Children, one thing you might be knowing 71% of Earth is covered with water, and 60% of the human body is also filled with water. So that's why water is really important. And is it only needed for human beings? No, every creature needs it. So that's why, of course, it is the most important one and the most wonderful thing on earth. Yes, it has created the history of the earth. Our total earth is it's created or it is shaped with the help of water, and it continues to play the leading role. Yes, that plays the leading role in the drama of life. Yes, we are all the dramatists on earth and we are playing the drama over here on Earth, on the surface of our planet. Where are we playing the drama? Yes, on Earth. And what helps us? That is the water. That water plays a leading role. Okay? So, Anurag, Anurag, Anurag,
हाँ sir.
who is called as a geologist?
Hello.
Anurag, who is called as a geologist? Simply don't mute yourself. You have already written that.
The persons
Yeah,
specialized.
yeah. Correct. Yes, Anurag, continue. Hope your network is weak. Anurag, continue. Anurag. Okay, Brahati. Just respond to my question. Who is called
A
as a
person who
geologist?
specialized in a person who specialized in geological studies.
Yes, geological research and study. Very good. Thank you. Yeah, children. Any questions in these four paragraphs? Yeah, it's in the form of essay, not like a story. So, if you're not convinced by my words, you can ask the questions. If you are not yet convinced, Vaishnavi V, have you got any problems over there?
No, sir.
No. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Can you please tell me what is the imaginary elixir of life?
Divine Amrita.
Okay. And then the real elixir of life is?
Water.
Yes, exactly, water. Very good. Sudhanma. Sudhanma, the writer,
Yes, sir.
when he was standing on the line which separated Libyan desert and the valley of the Nile, he explained about the differences, right? The wonderful difference he explained. What was the main reason for that difference? So one side it was desert and another side it was the greenest. So what brought this? What brought this wonderful difference? What was the main reason for this?
Water of the river Nile
Egg.
flowing.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Water of the river Nile. Very good. Okay, children. Let me move on to the fifth paragraph. There is nothing which adds so much to the beauty of the countryside as water. Be it just a little stream trickling over the rocks or a little pond by the wayside where the cattle quench their thirst of an evening. The rain-fed tanks that are so common in South India, alas, often so sadly neglected in their maintenance, are a cheering sight when they are full. They are, of course, shallow, but this is less evident since the water is silk laden and throws the light back, and the bottom does not therefore show up. These tanks play a vital role in South Indian agriculture. Some of these tanks are surprisingly large, and it is a beautiful sight to see the sun rise or set over one of them. Water in a landscape may be compared to the eyes in a human face. It reflects the mood of the hour, being bright and gay when the sun shines, turning to dark and gloomy when the sky is overcast. Yes, almost all. You're all living in the places, interior places like villages, right? What is mean by countryside? Countryside means the land and the scenery of a rural area. So you're all aware of it. You're all aware of this rural area, the land and the scenery of your area is known by you now. So then it will be easy to you. There is nothing which adds so much to the beauty of the countryside as water. Yes, water plays the major role over here. Yeah, it might be just a little stream trickling over the rocks. What is mean by trickle? Trickle means flow drop by drop. When water or some other thing is flown drop by drop, that is called as trickling. So be just a little stream trickling over the rocks. So from the rocks sometimes the water trickles. Or a little pond by the wayside. When you move on the wayside, you will find some ponds, water ponds. where the cattle quench their thirst. Quench means slake thirst. When they are really thirsty, how do they get water? From those ponds, they drink water and they quench their thirst of an evening. In the evening, they move and they get water from that pond or from somewhere or from the trickling of the rocks and they quench their thirst. The rain-fed tanks that are so common in South India, kindly underline the statement, the rain-fed tanks that are so common in South India. Just go on underlining up to when they are full. The rain-fed tanks that are so common in South India. In South India, the rain-fed tanks, they are very common. We have seen them. Those rain-fed tanks are seen by us. Alas, yes, the writer exclaims with grief because often so sadly neglected in their maintenance. Yes, there are so many rain-fed tanks in the southern part of India. In South India, we have so many rain-fed tanks, but the sad thing is they are really neglected in their maintenance. They are not maintained properly. If we had maintained them correctly, if those rain-fed tanks were maintained in the right channel, today it would be the greatest mean to the people. What's happening now? No, they are not maintained in the right way. They are not maintained in the right channel. Yes, these rain-fed tanks, the writer continues, are a cheering sight when they are full. Yes, when they are full, it makes us so glad. It makes us so happy to see these rain-fed tanks, and we feel so happy to see them. We at the time of rainy season, we go to those rain-fed tanks and we stand over there and we observe the nature, and that makes us so glad. We become so happy to see the nature at that time. They are, of course, shallow. Yes, they are not so deep. Shallow means not deep. They are not so deep. But this is less evident since the water is silt laden and throws the light back. We feel that it is totally filled. The rain-fed tank is totally filled with water. It looks like that, but the reality is inside the rain-fed tank, under that, what will be there? There will be too much silt laden. It will be completely filled with silt, and the place where water is to be covered will not be there. It will be filled with mud, it will be filled with silt, and just a little part will be filled with water. So that's why what we should do, we have to clean that, we have to remove that silt from there. Then the whole rain-fed tank will be filled with the rainwater. These tanks, I'm sorry, yeah, and the bottom does not therefore show up. Yes, we will not be able to see the bottom of that rain-fed tank because of that silt. These tanks play a vital role in South Indian agriculture. Yes, why are they very important? Why these rain-fed tanks are so important? They are very important in South Indian agriculture. Yes, we are totally relied on these rain-fed tanks. Yeah, we always need them for our agricultural purpose. Some of these tanks are surprisingly large. Yes, these tanks, some tanks are very surprisingly they are large, and it is beautiful sight. Yes, it's a beautiful sight to see the sunrise or set over one of them. Anyone, sunrise or sunset, or whichever you choose. So if you go to that rain-fed tank, if you see the sunrise or sunset, yes, you will feel like it's mind-blowing. You will enjoy that. Water in a landscape. Yes, water in this countryside. may be compared to the eyes in a human face. When you observe the eyes of the human, you will find the mood of that person. Likewise, water in landscape may be compared to what it is compared to. It is compared to the eyes in a human face. So just observe some other person's eyes. You will come to know, no, not exactly, but still you will find the mood of that person. Usually you will do that in the class, right? You will, when your teacher comes inside the class, you will observe his eyes. How is he? Okay, somewhat wrong. So he's not in a proper mood. How have you found? Just by observing his eyes, so that you will not say that you have not done your homework. You'll keep silent. One day when he is so happy, you will observe his eyes. Yeah, you'll come to know that he's so happy. His eyes are very clear, clean and clear. Yeah, he's so happy. Now, then what will you do? Slowly, you will go to the teacher and say, "So, I have not done my homework." Yeah. Okay, he says, right? Likewise, water in a landscape may be compared to the eyes in a human face. It reflects the mood of the heart. Yeah, that reflects the mood of the heart, being bright and gay when? Yes, when the sun shines. When the sun shines, the mood of the heart will be bright and gay. Gay means cheerful. Turn into dark and gloomy when the sky is overcast, means at the time when there is no sun, in the sense when it is too cloudy, or when it is sunset, at that time it will be dark and gloomy. The mood of that hour will be somewhat dark, right? Yeah. Now, sixth paragraph. One of the most remarkable facts about water is its power to carry silt or finely divided soil in suspension. This is the origin of the characteristic color of the water in rain-fed tanks. This color varies with the nature of the earth in the catchment area and is most vivid immediately after a fresh inflow following rain. Swiftly flowing water can carry fairly large and heavy particles. The finest particles, however, remain floating within the liquid in spite of their greater density and are, of course, extremely small, but the number is also great. Yeah, what the writer explains here. One of the most remarkable facts about water, what it is the power to carry silt or finely divided soil in suspension. What is meant by suspension? The state of water with very small particles of sand and other particles. What does it do? It carries sand and silt together while flowing. That is the greatest quality. That's the power what the what water has. This is the origin of the characteristic color of the water in rain-fed tanks. So sometimes the color differs in rain-fed tanks that you would have observed. This color varies with the nature of the earth. Yes, that varies with the nature of earth. In the catchment area means an area which collects plentiful rainfall and is most vivid immediately. Sometimes it will be very bright. Sometimes that flowing water will be very bright after a fresh inflow following rain. So earlier it will be somewhat, the color will be somewhat red, right? But so later what happens? Somewhat reddish or brown, right? So later slowly, so when the rain follows, what happens? While flowing quickly, it will be very clean and clear sometimes, right? Swiftly flowing water can carry fairly large and heavy particles. Yes, the water which flows at high speed, it carries fairly large and heavy particles. Heavy particles will be carried by this water. The finest particles, however, remain floating within the liquid. Yes, some of the finest particles, some of the particles which are very high in quality, so they will be floating over the water. In spite of their greater density, the density will be very greater, still they will be floating on water and are of course extremely small. How the particles will be? They'll be very small, but the number is also great. They might be smaller in size, but the number of the particles will be huge, will be more, will be great. Seventh paragraph. The flow of water has undoubtedly played a great part and a beneficent one in the geological processes by which the soil on the earth's surface has been formed from the rocks of its crust. The same agency, however, under appropriate conditions, can also play a destructive part and wash away the soil, which is the foundation of all agriculture, and, if allowed to proceed unchecked, can have the most disastrous effects on the life of the country. The problem of soil erosion is one of serious import in various countries and especially in many parts of India. The conditions under which it occurs and the measures by which it can be checked deserve the closest study. Yes, from the beginning until the sixth paragraph, the writer explained us the positivity of water, the benefits of water, right? So the water makes the land fertile. Water makes the land very fertile. Water gives life to the people. Yes, everything. It makes our mood happy. Exactly. But now the writer moves towards the another dimension of water. The flow of water has undoubtedly played a great part. Yes, exactly. While flowing, it has carried sand, silt, and all. Yes, it has made the land very fertile. Agree. And a beneficent one in the geological processes. Yes, in the geological processes, it has helped us a lot. Water has helped us a lot. But by which the soil on the earth's surface, it has been formed from the rocks of its crust. Yes, you know this formation of soil, it is formed from the rocks of its crust. The same agency, that's the water, however, under appropriate conditions, can also play a destructive part. Yes, in one way it is very helpful to us, but in another way it just distracts our life, it spoils our life, and wash away the soil, which is the foundation of all agriculture. Yes, when water flows so quickly, in a fast moment, what happens? The upper layer of the earth that just washes away. And if allowed to proceed unchecked, means if it is not stopped, what would happen? It can have the most disastrous effects on the life of the country. The country will have to pay for that. The problem of soil erosion is one of serious import in various countries and especially in many parts of India. It's not only in some other countries, even in India, the same effect can be seen. The conditions under which it occurs and the measures by which it can be checked deserve the closest study. Yes, now we have to study the reasons or the causes